Namaste children. We'll see the chapter at a glance. What do you mean by a source? Source is nothing but which produces something. So here light sources. That means here light producing things, producing objects. Or here the source is producing light. Sorting. Find out what you need to sort out. All are given here are light sources only, but some are natural, some are man-made. So the man-made light sources are known as artificial, the natural self-luminous. So whichever produces light is called as luminous body, whereas which does not produce light is a non-luminous body. So here find out and write the answers, separate them in the given picture. The question is, are these light sources? Justify your answer. That means if you say yes, how? If you say no, why? For both you need to write the reason. Already you have seen the effect of light on the materials. Basing on the effects of light on the materials, materials can be classified into three. One is opaque, then transparent, then translucent. Any material, whether it may be opaque, transparent or translucent, it absorbs some light. Other than that, opaque materials are those materials which undergo the phenomenon of reflection. That means whenever light hits those opaque objects, the light bounces back. So it does not allow the light to pass through it. For example, wood, stone, wall, etc. Next, transparent materials. They will absorb light as well as light passes through them. That means if the objects are undergoing the phenomenon of refraction, then those materials are known as transparent. That means these objects or these materials allow the light to pass through them easily. For example, glass, air, still water, etc. Translucent materials or objects which undergoes both the phenomenon of refraction and reflection. That means they allow partially the light to pass through them and partially they will reflect, do not pass. So these are translucent. For example, tissue paper, butter paper, oil paper, ground glass, etc. How does light travel? You can use a torch to see things in a dark room. Look at how the light beam from the torch travels. Look through a rolled paper to see the object. What you see? Now bend the paper, look through it again. Can you see the object? No, you cannot. Why? When you bend the rolled paper, light from the object cannot pass through it. This shows light travels in straight line. Do you know what is the speed of light? It is 3 into 10 to the power of 8 kilometers per second. At this speed, light from the sun reaches the earth within 8.3 minutes. Many events or phenomena show that light travels in a straight line. For example, the searchlight from helicopter, the ray of the sun, the beam of light from lighthouse, etc. Show that light travels in straight lines. Make the experimental setup as shown in the figure. Then the flame of the candle can be seen through the holes in the pieces of the cardboards if the holes lie in a straight line. The flame of the candle cannot be seen if the holes in the pieces of the cardboards are not in a straight line. A shadow will be formed when light is blocked by opaque or translucent objects. The shadow formed always falls on the side opposite to the light source and it is black. How does a shadow form? A shadow is formed when light from the light source is blocked by an opaque or translucent objects. Can you different sizes of shadow from the same object? Then how it is possible? Now, how shadow is formed? Actually, when the light is blocked by the object, the light bounces back. But the light which is escaped from the edges of the object will focuses, bends, slips down and bends and travel in straight line and focuses at the back of the object at a point. This enables to form the shadow. Now, size and shape of the shadow. The size of a shadow can be changed by changing two things. One is distance between light source and the object or distance between the object and the screen. Now, suppose if you have made an experimental setup like given in the figure, the closer the object is to the source of light, the bigger the shadow. And the closer the object to the screen, then the shadow is smaller. Then how the shape will be changed? The shape of the shadow is similar to the shape of the outline of the object. The shape of the shadow depends on the position of the object and the position of the source of the light. Now, you know how to change the shape of a shadow. So the shape of a shadow can be changed by the position of the light source or the position of the object. What do you mean by bouncing of light? Bouncing of light is nothing but the phenomenon of reflection. When you look at the mirror, you can see your image in the mirror. The light from the source falls on you and this light is reflected into the mirror and the mirror reflects the image into our eyes. The reflection of light can be shown as shown in the with the ray diagram as shown in the figure. We can see light around us because light from a source is reflected by the object. So we are able to see the things on the earth's surface because of the reflected light from the earth's surface which is received from the sun. Now suppose if you are taking one torch and light it and focus on the mirror and keep a screen aside, you can see the reflection of light on the screen. Reflection of light is very important in everyday life. Some objects reflect light better than the others. Mirrors and aluminum foils are good reflectors. The object surface which reflects the light back into the same medium is known as a reflector. So, if the surface is smooth and shiny, these reflectors will undergo reflection is known as smooth reflection or regular reflection. Some other examples of reflection: side view mirror of vehicles, convex mirrors in the shopping malls. The mirror used by a dentist is concave mirror, whereas side view mirrors And reflectors, majority on the roads, are convex mirrors, and a periscope uses a plane mirror. These are all undergoes the phenomenon of reflection. Suppose from the light source, the light rays travels in a straight line from the source, and when it hits an opaque object, some of the light is absorbed by the object and the rest of the light reflects back, that is bounces back. If the object is transparent, light ray passes through it easily. If the object is translucent, some light can pass through it and rest of the light will be reflected back. That is partial reflection and refraction takes place. Reflection takes place. Take a torchlight or a pointer torch and focus it on the mirror and see the light bouncing back and falling on the wall. Now, the ray of light which is coming from the point source of your pointer, that is called as incident ray, and the ray after falling on the mirror bounces back and forms that spot on the wall, that is called as reflected ray, and draw a perpendicular to the mirror, that is called as normal ray, and the angle formed between the incident ray and normal is called as angle of incidence, and the angle formed between normal and reflected ray is known as angle of reflection. Angle of incidence is designated by small I, angle of reflection is designated by small r. Angle I is equals to angle r. So, coming to the laws of reflection, incident ray, reflected ray and the normal which is drawn to the reflector all lie on the same plane. Then angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. That is, angle I is equals to angle R. Whenever light rays falls on a smooth surface, they undergoes reflection, and all the incident rays which are hitting the reflector will be parallel with each other, and all the reflected back, all these rays are also parallel to each other. And this type of reflection is known as regular reflection or specular reflection or smooth reflection, and it takes place only when the light stream hits with a smooth and shiny surface, for example aluminum foil, mirror, etc. If the light falls on a rough surface, then it bounces back, but the incident rays are not parallel with each other. Same way, the reflected rays are also not parallel with each other. This type of reflection which takes place from a rough reflector is known as diffused reflection or irregular reflection. But even though the type of reflection is diffused reflection, it follows the laws of reflection. Once again, light follows the laws of reflection. The angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection, and the incident ray, the normal ray and the reflected ray lie on the same plane at the point of incidence. If the light bounces back from a rough surface, the type of reflection takes place will be diffused reflection or irregular reflection, and the reflected rays goes in different directions because of unevenness of the reflector's surface. This enables to see the clear image or clear objects of the objects by our eye. Whereas a regular reflection or specular reflection or smooth reflection takes place when the light rays falls on a smooth surface or smooth reflector, for example mirror or aluminum foil, and in this case all the incident rays will be parallel with each other, as well as reflected rays are also parallel with each other. This gives a glare view for our eye. Now the question time. What is the difference between your shadow and your image in a mirror? Now, sun is the main source of light. Light travels from the sun to the earth and enables us to see things. How does it travel? What is its speed? When we stand facing away from the sun, we see our shadows on the ground in front of us. What is a shadow? How does it form? Will the shape and size of the shadow, will it be changed? Can it be changed? If, how? Now what we have learned. Light travels in a straight line. A shadow is formed when light is blocked by an opaque or translucent object. The size of the shadow changes according to the distance between the object and light source, or distance between the screen and the object. The shape of a shadow can also be changed according to the position of the light source and the position of the object. Light can be reflected. We can see an object because light from a light source that falls onto the object is reflected by object onto our eyes. There are two types of reflection, that is specular, smooth or regular reflection, and diffused, rough or irregular reflection.